Welcome to the Entrepreneur Success Podcast.
Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well. If you don't already know who it is, it's the one and only, the true Alex J. Today we're going to be talking about some crazy stuff. So definitely listen to this one all the way through. We're going to be talking about millennials, we're going to be talking about Generation X, we're going to be talking about baby boomers, we're going to talk about corporate slavery, we're going to be talking about debt, we're going to talk about convenience. We're going to be talking about what people want, prefer against what they need. There's going to be so much to go over. Where to begin? That's the real question. So I was having a discussion where I was saying about university debts, and I was saying, university debts now are crazy. They're absolutely crazy. And if you're finishing university and then you can't get a job, And I think what we need to do is we need to go all the way back. We need to go all the way back. I'm going to rewind all the way to the beginning of the history of this conversation, and then hopefully once you've listened to this entire conversation, then you're going to understand where I'm coming from, and you're going to see if this makes logical sense, and it's going to tell you what you need to do to prepare for your future. And believe me, these statistics are fairly scary. And I'm not doing this to scare anyone. I'm not doing this to point blame, to point fingers. I'm doing this so that you guys have that information, so that you have that knowledge and you can use that to your advantage. So the first thing that I found out was that this generation of millennials is the least entrepreneurial. So the millennials, which is between 18 and 34, there's only 2% are becoming entrepreneurs, which is kind of crazy to me. I thought, that's mind-blowing. Compared to the generation before, which is Generation X, which is 35 to 50, and they had 7.6% entrepreneurs, which again is crazy. Then you got the generation before them, which is the baby boomers, which was between 51 and 69. It was just after World War II, and there was 8.3% entrepreneurs. So if you look at that, it goes 8.3%, then all of a sudden it drops to 7.6, which isn't that much of a drop. It's a 1.3% drop. All of a sudden down to 2%. Now that's scary. Think about that. That's terrifying. And I was thinking, why is there so little entrepreneurs? Why is hardly anyone being entrepreneurs now? Why are people preferring to work a 9 to 5 their whole life? Like, what is this about? And I think it's to do with the fact that they're terrified of debt. We're always talking about debt. The generation before us, we've seen them go through debt, and a lot of it, not a small amount either. And then obviously you've got on the news, they're always talking about debt. You've got college debt, you've got uni debt, you've got credit card debt, you've got all these debts. And I think people are terrified of debt, and they're so scared of debt that they'll collect debt to avoid debt. Think about that. People these days will go and get debt, and when I say go get debt, I mean they'll acquire debt by going to university. They'll acquire debt by getting a mortgage for a big house that they can't afford. they'll get these big debts because they believe that it's safe, but they don't realize what they're actually doing to themselves. They're putting themselves in more debt trying to avoid it, right? And here's my statistics to prove this. And by the way, me and my partner have been going over this for hours, looking over these numbers and discussing it, and trying to come to a conclusion like, why is this even happening? Why are people getting into so much debt now compared to back in the day? So one of the things that we think is because they're terrified of debt, they're following their parents' advice, and their parents are saying, you need to go to college, you need to go to university, because when you get a degree, you'll get a job. Now back in the day, that was awesome. Back in the day, if you went to university and you went and got yourself a degree, that fancy degree, that master's degree, and it wasn't that expensive, it was fairly cheap. You could do 2-3 years, you get your piece of paper that says degree, and you're guaranteed a job. It's going to be very difficult for you not to get a job. You can walk in, you can go get a job, right? You're not going to have a problem. So you're going to get paid more because you've got a degree. You're going to get paid more. Like, that guy's got a degree, I'm going to pay him a little bit more. But the problem was everyone else noticed that. So what they said was, all right, well, if they're going to get paid more for a degree, well, then I'm going to get one. And then the next person said, well, if they're going to get paid more for a degree, then I'm going to get one. And next thing you know, everyone's got a degree, right? You know, Tom, Dick, and Harry, they've all got degrees, got masters, right? They've got bachelors, they got masters. But the problem is then they can't get jobs because everyone has got a degree. Now, what happens if everyone in the world has a master's degree, then no one has a master's degree? It's like superpowers. Like if everyone has superpowers, then no one has superpowers because it becomes the norm, right? So it becomes normal to have a master's degree. It's not worth anything anymore. It's only worth something if not as many people have them. It's like a trophy. It's like a trophy. Like if everyone got the trophy for best dad of the year, if every dad got that, then it wouldn't be worth anything, right? It's the same thing with these pieces of paper, because if everyone has it, it's not worth anything anymore. But the problem is the generation before, because they were able to get that degree and then it helped them get a job, they still have that conception because that's what they lived through. So they see that as safe. You get a degree, you'll be fine. You're going to get a job. But the problem is if everyone's got one, you're not going to be able to get a job. And we've already seen that. We've already seen the ramifications of that, because now we see that people are going out, they're trying to get these, they're getting these huge debts because, again, what happens when more people want to go to uni? The price has to go up because the demand's gone up. So you got more people now trying to go to uni because they want to try and earn more money. So now the price has gone up. So now it's costing you more money to go get a degree, and there's less chance that you'll get a job. Think about that for 2 minutes. It's going to cost you more money to get a degree, and you now have less chance of getting a job with that degree. You try and put the maths together. Like, we've been staring at this for ages, and I wanted to be wrong. That's the funny part. Like, I really wanted to be wrong. Like, I wanted to see these numbers and go, yeah, you know what? You're right. It's the safest thing to do. It's a wise thing to do. But looking at these numbers, it's insane. Like, why would you do that to yourself? But anyway, let's roll with it. Let's say that you've already gone to uni. I don't want to, be condescending and tell you did the wrong thing with your life. You didn't. You did your thing, man. You did your thing. Right, so let's roll with it. So, you've gone to university, you've collected this huge debt. Then what happens? Then your parents are telling you need to get a house. You need to get a big house. You need like a 2-bed or a 3-bed or a 4-bed house. Because you need to get settled down. You're gonna need to get married. You need to have kids, and you're gonna need to be in that big house with the nice car, right? And again, weddings have gone up in price because more people are getting married. So the price of them go up. Now again, this isn't a depressing thing. I'm not telling you don't get married. I'm not telling you don't go to uni. I'm not telling you don't get a job. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is just listen to what I'm saying. Just look at these stats, and you can come to your own conclusion on how you want to live your own life. But I think it's important that everyone hears the stats, and then you can come to your own conclusion. So weddings now cost more than they ever did before. We was looking at some stuff earlier, and it was something like, don't quote me on this, but it's something like in the 1950s it became popular for people, or 1945 or something like around those times. It became popular to use diamonds as rings, whereas before then it wasn't. Now think about that for a minute. That's the baby boomers, right? That's when the diamond thing started, coming around. Generation X completely bought into it. And then the millennials were still trying to do that, but they can't afford it because they got less money than they did before. Okay? Now, again, I'm just following the stats, okay? But right, so anyway, weddings cost more. Okay, so you spend more money on the wedding, you spend more money going to uni, you're having a harder time getting a job, you're paying more money for the mortgage for the house, right? Because your parents are telling you that's the safe thing to do. Yeah, man, get that debt. It's a good thing. That's the safe thing. The safe thing, go to uni, get that debt. Don't worry about the debt. It's a good thing because you're going to get a job. Then you struggle to get a job. But then when you get one, you get paid less. You don't get paid this because back in the day, what would happen is because you had a degree and no one else did, they would pay you more because it was like special. But because more people have degrees now, you won't get paid as much for that degree, right? So you're not going to earn as much. So you're earning less. So you've got more debt and you're going to get, if you manage to get a job, you're going to get paid less. Okay, so keep that in mind. So Holding all that together, then you're going to get a house, but the house price is higher than it was previously for the previous generations. So now it's costing you even more for the house. The weddings cost you even more. So you've done all of this, you've collected a huge, huge debt on the safe route. That's supposed to be the safe route. Okay, I want you to consider that for a moment. That's supposed to be the safe route, right? Now, what part of everything that I just explained, don't even get into the car. Because everyone wants a nice car. Like, they don't want just a normal car, they want a nice car. They're like, man, I gotta get me an expensive car because all my friends are gonna judge me on my car, alright? They don't, and this is one thing that I was talking about to my partner. I said, look, wouldn't it make more sense to do things like for the population, for most people, to get rid of pride? Get rid of pride and do what you can do what you can afford to do. Stop doing what other people, like how other people perceive you. Oh, everyone else has got that nice car, so I need to get that really nice car. Yeah, but you can't afford it, they can. Yeah, but I really want it because they've got it. Alright, well, you go do that. You're going to get yourself into more debt. And I don't want to sound grumpy. I'm a really positive person. But I really want you guys to see it because it's scary. I was looking at some more stats. Let me get these other stats back up on my phone because we was looking at like these companies, and we were looking at, because my partner said to me like this, okay, fair enough, there's less entrepreneurs now, and less people are getting, paid more money and stuff, but are there more companies? Because if there's more companies, right, then it kind of balances out, right? And you have to keep that in mind. It balances out if there's more companies. But we found out there wasn't, and not only that, but it gets worse. Right, here we go. Let me get these numbers up. Right, check this out. This is scary as hell, okay? 1955. We're gonna always go 1955 to today, okay? General Motors had 576,000 employees. Today, they have only 204,000. US Steel have had, and again, this is 1955, they had 268,000 employees, and today they have 43,000. Think about that for a moment. Keep that in mind for a moment. General Electric, 1955, had 210,000. They've gone up. They went to 304,000. Good on you, General Electric. Chrysler. And by the way, these are the top employers, by the way, so I'm not being biased. Chrysler, 1955. They had 167,000 employees, and now they only have 58,000. Standard Oil of New Jersey, 1955, had 155,000 employees, and now they only have 102,000. Amoco had 135,000 employees. We don't know how many they got now. CBS had 117,000 employees, and now they got 25,000. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Right, let's keep going. I'm almost done, guys, I know. I'll do one more. Here we go. International Business Machines. Is that a company name? I think that's the company name. They had... Oh, jeez. I pressed the wrong button. They had a lot, and now it's less. Look, my point is this. The big companies, they don't need as many people now. And this is something that when I was going through all of these stats, this is something that I hadn't even comprehended. Because of machines, we need less people. Back in the day when you had a car company, I don't know how many people, but you had an assembly line, right? You had a whole line of people then build the car manually by hand. And now we've got machines that do it for us. Like the cupcakes, they used to all be made by hand, but now you can get a machine to make them twice as fast and a lot cheaper. So it's a lot more cost effective. So obviously they use machines. Problem is, by doing that, you're getting rid of the amount of people that are employed. Now that sounds like a given, sounds pretty obvious, but when you put that with everything else, that's actually terrifying. Absolutely terrifying, because that means that the bigger companies, they can make more money and they need less people, which means your degree is worth even less. Let's say there's 35,000 people that work for a multi-billion-dollar company. How much do you think your degree is worth to them? Because you're going to go, let's say they open a position as this IT technician, right? And let's say that you've done college, or maybe you've worked at other companies and that's what you did as a company. So you've got that experience behind you. So maybe you don't necessarily have the degree, but let's say that you do have a degree, right? let's say that you are one of 1 million people trying to get that job now, right? Do you see what I mean? Like, it's how much is it worth now? Because there's so many, they can just replace you at the snap of a finger. So what difference is it really going to make, right? And here we go. This is another thing that scared the hell out of me. So, Generation X. By the way, if you're in Generation X, I'm not blaming you, but I really want you to see these stats. And don't tell your kids go to university. Don't tell them to do that. These stats are scary. Okay. Generation X. There was 3.3 trillion people on the earth. 3.3 trillion. Okay. Now there's 7.4 trillion people on the earth. That's over double. Keep that in mind. And by the way, that includes deaths. So they've been putting the births in and they've taken the deaths out. So it's not like it's huge. It's huge. It's gone from 3.3 to 7.4 trillion. It's double. That means there are double the amount of people on this earth. There are half the amount of jobs. Debt is higher. Things cost more money. And there's less entrepreneurs. Because they're trying to go the safe route. Because they're seeing these debts and they're thinking, oh, the debt is because they're taking risks. No, the debt's because they're not taking risks. That's kind of my point. Like the reason that the debts are so crazy is because they're not taking risks. Because they're trying to do what they think is the safe way, not realizing that it's actually catastrophic. It's dangerous what they're doing. Like, looking at these stats, I wouldn't say that's the safe way at all. I wouldn't say that at all. Like, I was talking to my partner, and I said, look, wouldn't it make more sense for the average person? Because, I mean, we've got a bit of money, so we're in a bit of a different situation. But that's because I worked my arse off, and I'm an entrepreneur. So, and here's another thing. You can listen to me, and you can say, Alex, you're biased because you're an entrepreneur. Okay, you could say that. But if you look at the stats, right, do you agree with me or disagree with me? Forget for a moment I'm an entrepreneur. Do you agree with me or disagree with me that these stats all combine? And by the way, again, I went into this wanting to talk about how you could use university and then you could finish university and then you could do your own thing, or while you're at uni, you could then do your own thing at the same time, right? That was kind of the angle that I was initially going to take when I first saw that only 2% of people were entrepreneurs, and I was like, well, that's terrible for the economy, right? But when you combine all the stats that we were looking at, because the conversation got really big real quick and it started scaling, right? And that's when it was like, well, we need to look at everything. And when I put everything together, I was like, yo, that's not the safe way. But that ain't the safe way at all. Like, who's looking at that like the safe way? That's the most dangerous way that I can see. I can't remember the percentage, but there was a percentage of how many people would go to university and then get jobs that were completely unrelated to their degree, and it was crazy. I wish I had the number, but I don't want to quote any stats that are wrong. I don't want to do that. I only want to give you guys the clear stats that I've got. And by the way, if you guys want any of the sources, feel free to send me a message and I can send all the sources over. Here's another stat for you. So we were talking about mortgages, and between 15 and 34 years old, there's. And by the way, I don't know. It says mortgage status of American homes, and this is the source is American Census Bureau. I don't know what that M means. I'm guessing it can't be million because it wouldn't be right, or maybe it is. No, it can't be million. But anyway, I'm just gonna say the stats, okay? But it's pretty obvious what it is when I say it. So between 15 and 34 years old, 6.1 M. I'm not gonna say M. I'm just gonna say. So between 15 and 34 years old, 6.1 will have a mortgage. Without is 1.1. Okay, so obviously there's a lot more with mortgages. Between 35 and 44 years old, 10.2 will have a mortgage, and 1.81. So again, you can see the odds are not in your favour. Okay, like in the Hunger Games. Right. Between 45 years old and 54 years old, 12.8 people will have a mortgage and 3.71. These are crazy, man. Just think about this for a minute. Just think about that. That's crazy. Right, here we go. This is when people start getting out of their mortgages. mortgage, 55 to 69 years old, it's only 6.0, and without is 2.8. So that's when they're starting to creep out, right? And in their late 50s, they're starting to get out their mortgages. 60 to 64 years old, 4.8 have a mortgage, and 3.3 don't. So again, they're starting to wiggle out there, between 60 and 64 years old. 65 and 74 years old, 5.5 with a mortgage, 6.6 without. So look, now in their late 60s, there's more people without mortgages now, but there's still a lot. It's almost half still have, jeez, my goodness, half still have their mortgage. 65 and 74 years old, 5.5 with a mortgage and 6.6 without. Again, it's almost half. 75 and over, 2.1 with a mortgage and 7.1 without. That goes to show you that most people start getting out of their mortgage about 55 years old. That's when it starts. So some people start getting out at 55 years old. Most people get out in their 60s. Damn, think about that. And people think that's the safe route. They'll go to uni, go get married, go get that expensive car, go get that big house, try and get a job. But they're not looking at the stats, man. And the people that are having this in their head and they think it's a great idea, I really want you to have an open mind when listening to this. I really don't want anyone coming in with a preconceived thing, because like I didn't. That's the fact, I didn't come in with a preconceived notion. I came in, just wanted to talk about millennials and the percentages, because the percentages made me feel sick, and I was like, why is there barely any entrepreneurs anymore? I'd think there'd be more, because we've got technology. Like we've got phones, we've got laptops, we've got computers, we've got everything, access to the internet. We've got vast knowledge at a click of a finger. You can go on Google right now and you can find something, and you can find anything. Absolutely, you can find out how to make a boat. You could find out how to make a light bulb. You could find out how to make a clock. You could find out what time a train is running in Taiwan. You can find out, how to do surgery on a dog. Like, you could find it. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm definitely not recommending it. I'm saying you can find it, right? You can find all this information at the tap of your fingers. You have access to a vast amount of knowledge at your fingertips, at your disposal. You are able to communicate with more people than ever before. We got the internet. People before us didn't. Before, people could only talk to the guys around them. You could travel only so far. At some point you got to stop and feed the horse, and if you haven't got the money, the horse is gonna, keel over at some point. So you can only go so far. So keeping all that in mind. And you got seasickness and stuff like that if you get on the boat. So you got to keep that in mind. Like, we can communicate with people all across the world in seconds. I can call someone right now on the other side of the world, and we can have a conversation as if they're standing next to me. In fact, we could do a video call if I wanted to, and it would be like this sitting in front of me, like 4K. Damn, computer's 4K. I'm not sponsored by Mac, but damn, they should sponsor me. So just keeping all that in mind, right? Keeping all that in mind. Like, we have all that. Why is there so little entrepreneurs? Because they're terrified of the debt. Because they keep hearing about debt. Don't take risks. Stay safe. You'll have a good life. You're gonna have everything that mummy and daddy have. Mummy and daddy have got a car. Mummy and daddy have got a big house. Mummy and daddy go on one holiday a year. Yeah, but how much debt is mummy and daddy in? Like, how much competition did they have? Like, how many jobs were there? How much debt did you require? Did you need to get into university? How much competition was there? How many people on the earth were there? Like, now it's insane. And again, I don't want this to seem like a rant, and this is where I want to kind of put a bit of a positive spin on it. Here comes the positive. Look, here's the good thing. Here's what I want you guys to see. Look, if there's less entrepreneurs, that means there's more opportunity. If there's more unemployment, it means that more people need employment at a lower rate of pay. And by the way, that scares the hell out of me. You can get a job and you get paid less than generation before because there's more people that want it. But anyway, let's use that to our advantage. We're entrepreneurs, right? So there's more people that are unemployed. There you go. There's an opportunity right there. You can hire more people at less cost. In fact, if there's a load of you that can't get jobs, get together and start a business, because you've all got the time on your hands anyway, right? Just use it to your advantage. But there's so many things that haven't been invented yet. And I don't know what they are, otherwise I would have invented it, right? But there's so many things that haven't been invented yet that are yet to be invented. Facebook came about not so long ago, completely changed the landscape of things. You got Uber that came around not so long ago, completely changed the game. You got Netflix came about, completely changed the game. Like, keep all of this in mind, right? All of this in mind. You've got e-commerce, you've got all this stuff that's just appearing, right? And it's all moving in one direction. It's all moving towards a singularity, and that's the one thing that I see. I see that people are starting to need things. By the way, I'm trying to help you come up with an idea, because I'm trying to think at the same time. It seems almost as if everyone is coming towards a singularity. Okay, and here's what I mean. It's costing more and more money to get a house, which means more people need to rent. So if you buy property, don't buy a house, buy 2 apartments. Or if you've got a house, sell it. Sell it. Buy 2 apartments, or 3 apartments, or 4 apartments, however much it's worth. Right? Buy apartments, rent them out. Live in one. How much space do you need? Do you need a 4-bed house? Like, how many of you are there? Like, if you've got kids, I kind of understand. But, like, if you haven't got kids and you're living in a big house, like a 2-bed house, like, do you really need it that size? Right, let me close that window. Hold on. It was a bit loud, wasn't it? Right. If you've got a big house and you are on your own, don't stay in a house with these false dreams. When I get married and when I have kids, yeah, do that when you get there, but you're not there yet, right? Get the apartment, right? Get the apartment, because it's going to cost you less money, and the money that you're saving, you can spend on another apartment, and that one you can rent out and make money off. If you can afford it, get a house, right? Get like a 4-bed house and rent out 3 of the rooms. Get them to pay your mortgage off for you. Don't pay the mortgage. Get the other 3 people to pay your mortgage off, so that the rent totals just over the mortgage. And that way the house is going to pay itself off. Because what you could do then, because you're not paying your mortgage, you're getting your full salary again. Let's say that it took you 5 years to save for the deposit for the house, right? But you've got 3 other people paying that mortgage off. Just wait another 5 years, because you're not paying your mortgage, they're paying it for you. Just wait another 5 years and use that money to put the deposit down on another house. And now you got 2 houses, and you can then rent out the other 3 rooms again, just over the price of the mortgage. Wait another 5 years, you got a 3rd house. So now you got 3 houses. Yes, you got a big ass debt on it, but because house prices are going up, people need to rent more. So because they need to rent more, you're going to be making more money, and there's more population. And you're not going to grow Earth, right? It's not going to get any bigger. So they're going to have to stop building at some point, unless they start building upwards. And I mean, they're already building up, but you know what I mean. So you'll make more money that way, and that way your house is no longer a debt; it's an investment, because it's bringing in money every month. And then at the end of, say, 20 years or 30 years or 40 years or whatever, and all the mortgages are paid off, you then go sell all the properties. So, like, let's say that you had like 5 properties, you could just go sell them all if you wanted. You could go sell them all, or you could just keep them all, keep them ticking, and give them to your kids, right? But my point is that there's so many opportunities that you can now do where you can make a ton of money, but because people have this weird perception of risk, that they're scared to take those risks. But I'm saying to people, look, here's what you should be doing. You should be coming up with something, a brand new idea, and I can't give it to you. I wish I could. But you come up with a brand new idea, a brand new concept, and roll it out. Be an entrepreneur. There's more unemployed people than there were previously. We need to lower the amount of the unemployed, because the national debt as well, by the way, I don't even want to get into that, but the national debt is something on top of all of that you're paying. You are also paying national debt. Your country. That's what I'm saying. You got to think, like, all these years back, your country didn't owe money, or maybe it owed just a little. I should probably look into that. But now, your country is in debt. You are in debt. Your parents are in debt. Everyone's in debt. Just think about that for a moment. Your country is in debt. Just think about it for a moment. Your country is in debt, whereas it wasn't before, right? Surely, logically, it says the old way doesn't work. There was something wrong before. Something needs to change because, and we could go down the rabbit hole, we could go down the rabbit hole and start talking about Illuminati and Rothschild and all that. I'm not doing that. Right? I'm not doing that. We're going to keep it based on these stats that I'm looking at. I don't want to talk about that stuff because that's a rabbit hole. That's a rabbit hole that you can go down. You can start getting into conspiracy theories and all that nonsense. But look, and then, by the way, I'm not saying it's nonsense to discredit it. I'm just saying it's not something to factor in right now because of what I'm talking about. So I want you to keep all of this in mind. I want you to think about it. You need to become an entrepreneur. This is the way that you were told was safe is not safe. You need to take strategic risks. These are not strategic risks. Going to get a fat off mortgage and going to get a massive debt. That's not a strategic risk. That's just risk. That's not a strategic risk. If there's a 7.4% chance of you getting out of it by 65, and by the way, good luck to you making it that long. Right? What's the point? If that's the percentages that you're working off, those are ratios that you're working off, then what's the point? That is not, like if you went into a casino and they went, right, there's a 7.4% chance that you're either gonna end up with a house and a car with no mortgage and a really happy family and no debt, right? By 65, your odds are 7.6%. If not, for the rest of your life, you're gonna work it out. There's no way, no one would play that game. If it was a game, no one would play it. Everyone would be like, no, those odds are ridiculous. Those stats are crazy. But yet, that's what people are doing. And they're working with those stats and they're saying, yeah, that's safe. It's not safe. It's illogical. Honestly, start your own business. There's a way, way, way better chance of you making success out of on your own idea. And all I'm saying is, yes, fair enough. There's a lot of failures in being an entrepreneur. That's a given. There's a lot of people that fail, in the normal world, trying to get normal jobs. There's a lot of people that fail there as well, But look, you need to say, look, I want to be an entrepreneur. Come up with an idea, sit down, explore a little bit, maybe travel, go to different countries, see different things in different parts of the world. We've seen some stuff that I want to go to England with, and there's some stuff that I want, from England to come here with, because I've seen, there's some really cool stuff that I think would work in a different country. So I think that we need to explore. We need to look at different avenues. We need people to look at the world sideways. We need people to really sit back and review, everything that's happening and what could happen. People need to look more towards the future than the present. You need to be looking at the future. Where are people going? What are they trying to do? Facebook was great because it was like, look, people are trying to connect with their old friends. They're trying to see what their old friends are up to, right? And everyone already had that need, but there was nothing there. And it was something that was deep inside of us and no one was really talking about. And then they came along and they created Facebook, and then everyone was like, do you know what? That's pretty genius, that. Being able to connect to each other, that's kind of important. And then WhatsApp and everything else came along. So yeah, keep that in mind. Think of the future. Think of the endless possibilities. There's so much that could happen. There's so much that you can think of. You need to start reading more books. You need to start traveling. You need to start meeting new people, having new experiences. You need to look at the world sideways. It's the only thing I can say. You need to look at the world sideways. You need to be really thinking, where do I want to go with my life? Forget what was done before. That's not really going to help you. And again, for people that are in that generation, it's over. We're in the Millennials generation, and it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a scary thing looking at the stats. Like, you need to just accept that we're not in that age anymore. We're in the Millennials age. Just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean that you should. If everyone else is jumping off a cliff, would you jump? Depends. Is there a bungee string? No, there's not. No, there's not. If everyone else is going to uni and getting into debt, then that's down to them. But I wouldn't encourage that. I wouldn't push that on anyone because, what's the point? It makes more sense to create your own business and create your own money, control your own finances, You know, you need to look at things and say, look, this is how I want my life to be, and this is what I want, and this is what I need to do in order to get there, compared to this is what the old generation used to do, I'm gonna do that. You need to look out for yourself. You need to say, look, what is it that I want to do, and this is the direction that I want to go in. I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope this has been giving you something to think about and talk about. I'd appreciate comments below. If you like what I'm talking about, please hit that like button. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. I'd appreciate if you shared this, if you know there's anyone that needs to listen to this. You can also find me on facebook.com/TheTrueAlexJ. You can also find my fan page, which is facebook.com/AlexJTVOfficial. You can also find me on Instagram, which is instagram.com/AlexJ020. Look forward to speaking to you guys again soon, but in the meantime, peace.